and welcome to our daily word this morning as we begin a new week together and share our lives together and talk about scripture as we journey through life together. So thanks for joining me again this morning on this beautiful sunny morning in the middle of February. Seems kind of strange, but I'm glad you joined me as always. Thanks for carving out time to be with me. Thanks for sending your greetings to me, letting me know that you are watching. I appreciate that. Today is daily word number 674. And so I thank you for this ongoing journey that we share together through this thing that we call the daily word. So today, I chose this scripture based on a conversation I had the other day with someone. And it's from the book of James, chapter 1, verse 5. And it says this: "If any of you is lacking in wisdom, ask God, who gives to all generously and ungrudgingly, and it will be given to you." So last week on Friday, Diane and I had some things to do. We had an appointment with a lawyer because we need to talk about our estate, our future planning, getting our affairs in order, whatever you call that stuff. And so we had a rather long meeting with the lawyer trying to figure out this stuff and what makes the most sense. We left there. We went to pick up our taxes because we got our taxes done. And so we went and signed all of that and picked them up. Then we left there and I needed some filters. So we went to Menards. And so we walk into Menards, and of course the first thing I do is grab a cart because, one, that's a big store, and two, I can't walk all that store without a cart. And so I use the cart as my crutch, as my thing to hold on to. And so we made our way. We got our filter for a refrigerator. Couldn't figure out the filters for the whole house filter, so I'm still researching that. We always meander through, look at the candy, look at other stuff in the middle, look at all they're starting to get some camping supplies out, looking at all that stuff. And I came around the corner, and a person I know who actually used to work somewhere else works at Menards now, was putting candy on the shelf. And I said, "Hey," she said, "How you doing?" I said, "I'm doing great." She said, "No, you're not." I said, "Well, I have this cart to hold on to." So she laughed at me and she said, "Well, Jim, there's something to be said about when you get older, you get wisdom." She said, "What are you, like 72? And I said, "Wow, 72. I'm not 72, but, I just turned 59 a couple weeks ago. It'll be 3 weeks ago on Wednesday." And she said, "Well, we're supposed to gain wisdom as we get older, but wisdom doesn't help us." And she's walking around with this big boot on her left foot. So we talked about that and the struggles with all of that. And so I got to thinking about that and the idea of wisdom and how we get wisdom and what wisdom means for us and how we gain wisdom when we lack it. And I pondered for a while if it was true what she said, that, at least when you get older, you gain wisdom. Now, I don't know how all of that applies necessarily, because as I struggle with what my future is going to look like given the state of my leg and whether there's anything we can do about it, and that's a whole different conversation, but the wisdom of knowing what to do. It's much like Diane and I's appointment with the lawyer. There are things we don't know about the law and what it means about future planning and estate planning for our kids. And so we talked to the lawyer to get his wisdom because he has a lot of it. And so he's drawing all these diagrams for us and talking about restricted and unrestricted funds and all of that stuff. And so we gain wisdom by being in conversation with other people and the people who are more knowledgeable. And so the scripture says to us that if any of you is lacking wisdom, ask God, who gives to all generously and ungrudgingly, and it will be given to you. And so I thought a lot about that. Wisdom, the idea of wisdom. And if indeed where we are in life, no matter our age, whether I'm really 59 or 72, as she implied, that we have what we have, who we are in our lives, and that we should use the wisdom that we have to live our lives fully. And so, in my foolishness, maybe, I think about things I ought to be doing, if my leg worked better, and that I'd like to do. But James reminds us, that in our work life, our home life, our relationships, in our church life, when we seek God and seek God's wisdom, that helps us to find out and to reveal and to unravel, if you will, where it is that God is leading us. And part of the hope in that, the joy in that, is knowing that God, if we ask, gives us wisdom along the way. And so, since my conversation with her the other day, I'm thinking about this text. And I've said it 100 times, all this idea of praying for healing in my body, in my leg specifically, my entire leg. It's just, my entire left leg is shot, for lack of a better word. Praying for healing for that has been fruitless, in one word. And then I got to thinking about what this scripture says, and maybe what I need to do, and maybe for all of us, in our interaction with each other, that we need to pray for wisdom. Here's where I am, God. Here's where my life is. Here's in my ordinary day what it is that I'm called to do. Give me wisdom to do the very best I can do, to find the good answers along life's journey. And I think if you and I would look at our lives in that particular way, whether we're young or old, asking God for wisdom. Because James says, look, if we ask for ask for wisdom, God gives it generously and ungrudgingly. I wonder in my life, this is for me, but I wonder in my life, if I've been praying for the wrong thing. Now, praying for healing is not bad, and I'm not going to stop praying for that, but maybe instead of trusting myself so much to figure this out, that I should pray for wisdom, that God would guide me in this life's journey. And so that's the word for today that speaks to me. I hope it speaks to you as well as we live our lives together so very well. Thank you for joining me this morning as we begin a new week. Thanks for always hanging out with me. So ask for God's wisdom, knowing that God gives it generously and ungrudgingly. Know of God's love and know of my love for you. And I will see you tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock. Have a great day.